Okay, everybody, I am going to help you with the homework this week and the second part, the hypothesis testing part. And that part has two tests in it, as you can see right here. The first test is you're going to test if the average TIQ in your industry is 2.5 minutes or 150 seconds. Okay, so to do this test, this is the data set that you are going to download. This is the data set, Netflix data set. I also attached this as an Excel page. So I'm going to give you the steps, but I'm going to use a sample data set for it. Now remember, there are two tests. This is the first test I'm going to do, and then I'm going to test for service time also, where I'm going to compare PE with PT, okay? So the first thing first, for test for the PE, or PT rather, you're going to test the time in Q. So here is my sample data set, and I cut and paste this. Oops, sorry. I cut and pasted the questions here on the Excel page. And now you're going to do the calculation in Excel, part 1 and part 2, and then you're going to copy and paste those in the second part of your report. So this is the first thing that I'm going to do, test the hypothesis if the ST. No, this is the first test. Yeah, this is the second test. Okay, so let me remove this. This is the first test. Test the hypothesis to determine whether the average TIQ is lower than the industry average. Lower than industry average of 150 seconds. So lower than, that is going to dictate your alternate hypothesis. That is going to dictate your alternate hypothesis. So your hypothesis is going to look like this. Alternate hypothesis lower than 150 and null is greater than or equal to 150. This is step 1. And then step 2, you are going to determine what kind of test you are going to do. In this case, you are going to do a z-test. You're going to do a z-test. Okay? So you're going to do a z-test. Because you have a large sample, so you're going to do a z-test. And the critical value for the test is negative 1.65, because your alternate hypothesis is the left side. That's why your test is going to be left-sided test. And the critical value you're going to use by using the formula NORM SINV 0.05. So if you type it on the Excel page, equal to NORM SINV 0.05, the negative 1.64. So that means this side is 0.05, 5% level of significance, okay? All right, now you're going to do the computation. Now to do the computation, you have to calculate this number, average. You're going to use this average, okay? C28 to C52. I'm doing just for PT. Part 1 is just for PT, okay? So C28, you can see it is C28. Here it is, C28. This is Q time in Q, okay? Only for PT. And this is the standard deviation. This is the formula. And this is the number of observations. This is the formula. There are 25 observations, okay? So you're going to do the Z calculations, and by the Z calculations, you are going to use this formula. Use this formula. Now for the computation of this part is really easy. Let me show you step by step the top part and the bottom part. The top part is, I'm going to type equal to 142.92 minus 150. Now this is the top part, as you can see, negative 7.08. Now the bottom part is SQRT parenthesis 1.67, 1.67, 1.67.76 square divided by 25, parenthesis closed. Okay, this is the denominator, the bottom part. 167, not 1.76. 167.76 square divided by 25. Let me put another parenthesis here just to make sure. Okay, and then that's it. Oh, sorry, equal to, you have to put an equal to sign in front of it. Okay, there it is. So 33.52. Now this divided by that. So if I do here equal to this divided by that, enter, that gives you negative 0.211. Now negative 0.211 where? On this side or that side? That is one place that many students make mistake. They say negative 0.211 is less than this, but it is not less than this. It is greater than this, okay? It is greater than this. Now, remember, your numbers are going to be different because your data set is different. I have used a sample data set, okay? So you got this one. Now in the step 4, you're going to make a decision. You're going to make a decision. Decision either to reject the null hypothesis or fail to reject the null hypothesis. In this case, calculated value is larger. Now you have to decide what you found. If it is larger, you fail to reject the null. In other words, null, you're going to assume null is true. If that is the case, then in step 5, you're going to summarize what you need to do. Okay? And that is it, what action company should take. A simple one, a 3-4 line paragraph, what action company should take and why. Okay? Now, going to part 2, you have the same thing, except that in this case, you are going to compare the service time for PT, service time for PT and PE. Okay? So, they are saying to examine if the service time for PE, the new protocol, is lower. PE is lower with the PT protocol. That is going to dictate your alternate hypothesis, okay? So your alternate hypothesis is going to look like this. PE is less than PT. PE is lower than PT, okay? All right, so now you are going to do the step 2. It is also the same. You are going to do a z-test because you have a large data set. You are going to z-test, and norms SINV will give you the critical value. It is the same. It is negative 1.64, and your graph is going to look like just this. Okay. Now you are going to do the calculations. When you do the calculations, you are going to do the z-test. So your calculation is going to be like this, and you're going to use this formula to do the z-test. Okay, you're going to use this formula. Oops, sorry. You're going to use this formula. Okay, so This is step 3. Now let me walk you through the calculations of step 3. Now in this case, you have PE and PT, right? You can look at here, PE and PT. So this is PE and that is PT. So this minus of that will give you the top part. Will give you the top part. So the top part I'm calculating here equal to PE minus PT. This gives you the top part. Now the bottom part is going to be, you can see square root, the standard deviation is here. And for, okay, no, this is not relevant. This is not relevant. This is for the first test, okay? So standard deviation is there. So let me calculate the inside number first. Inside number first. So this is equal to standard deviation of, sorry. Look, this is the standard deviation. Standard deviation for D3 because you are working with the service time now. Okay, so you're working with D column, D3, D27 for PE. So this is equal to standard deviation square divided by 25. Now your case, it is not going to be 25, it's going to be much higher because number of observations is much higher in your case. You need to pay attention to that. So this square divided by 25. Enter. So you get 3876. Now you take the square root of this to get the denominator. So equal to SQRT of this. Boom, you got 62 this. So now this is the numerator. Let me highlight numerator, and this is the denominator. So now you get the ratio. So your Z is equal to So your Z is equal to the numerator divided by the denominator. So negative 2.92. Now you have to see where is it in this side or that side? Then you're going to make a decision. If it is on this side, you fail to reject the null hypothesis. If it is on this side, you reject the null hypothesis. And if you reject the null hypothesis, you're going to assume alternative is true. And then you're going to make that decision, okay? So step 4, let me bring it down a little bit. Bring it down here. Step 5, let me bring it down here. So here you're going to reject the null hypothesis if the calculated value is less than that. Otherwise, else fail to reject the null. If you fail to reject the null, you're going to assume null is true. But if you reject the null, you're going to conclude that alternative is true. If that is the case, then whatever your decision is, you're going to draw a conclusion. Assess if the new protocol has served its purpose. Okay? So for each of those tests, you're going to show all the 5 steps, and then you're going to have a short report as the assignment suggests. You are going to write a report in here. So this is going to be your second part of your assignment, okay? Remember, assignment has 2 parts this week. This is part 2. Part 1, you already can do, you're writing a report, the summarizing all of these, there are 3 or 4 items that you need to address. And then part 2 are hypothesis testing, okay? So I'm just helping you with the part 2, all right? I hope you found this video helpful. Thank you. You take care, and I appreciate your hard work.